Welcome back everybody to the third and final part in this series thus far of the trio build, and as you can see I've cobbled together. There's nothing special here. On this one I've used, this is QED speaker cable, 76 strand or something I think they call it, and I just put some terminals on the end and I've cobbled it together to the crossover here. You've seen all that before, and I've got paralleled these base units, and we've got the single supply to the full range, the tang band full range. These are linked out. I can run these by amp, which is another test I've got to do, but for now I've got to thank all those new subscribers and thanks for the comments everybody. This is going to be a bit of a sound test. Now what I have is a UCD. This is a UCD 400 stereo amplifier, and I'm comparing it, chop and change, I'm comparing it to an Avondale, one of these big ones here. This is it'll focus, come on, focus. It's an Avondale NCC 300. So this is about 130-140 watts, and this is about 250 watts, I think, something like that, at 8 ohms. And we're going to do a bit of a test. Oh, this way, the light's poor this way, but there, I've got no grills on the front of this one, just to show you. And here I've coupled up some brackets. At some point I want to run these trios in an active mode using 4 amps and a mini DSP. So sometime I will have to do away with the passive crossover and connect the speakers directly to the amplifiers. So I've cobbled up these brackets. They're just an L bracket. I use them for all sorts, and I've covered the front with a plastic coating. Obviously the leads, the flying leads, will be soldered onto the back of these. These are cheap, very cheap, but a lot of people used to use them. Why am I using them in this occasion? Because if you buy proper ones, these just happen to be the Hypex, but you can buy many manufacturers quality products as a socket, chassis socket. These are like 12 to 15 pounds each. So if you multiply that up, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, you're running into nearly £100 just for the sockets. These are about £2 each. It's all an experiment. At a later date I may well upgrade them, but at this stage I'm just going to screw these to the chassis somewhere on the trio, 2 per side. So 2 will be supplying the two 15-inch base units, and these 2 will be supplying the full range, the tang band full range. So what I use is this plastic film, and you just peel off the backing. This is all rudimentary stuff really, a bit of a fill. Just peel off the backing, and we're going to stick it on here. It's quite sticky actually, so and just run it round. Nice bit of pressure with your fingers, like that, all the way around the edge. Then get a sharp knife and just pare off the excess, just like trimming pastry on a cake really. Go around the edge. just be gentle, bit of patience, and you end up with a bracket like that. Then we're just going to cut the centre out like that. Do the second one. Like that. Discard your offcuts, obviously. Pesky things. And this, then you just fit your insulated $4mm chassis socket like that. Just nip it up. Do that one. Backing piece, washer, and a backing nut. I would advise not to buy the cheap Chinese ones. The cheap Chinese ones are steel. The better quality ones are nickel plated brass. But there we have it. We have our 4 brackets for an active setup thus far. Obviously I've drilled these previously to use them for something else. Like a lot of the stuff I've got has always been used previously, and I repurpose a lot, including my cases and chassis and one thing and another, power supplies. But just give you an idea, my way of doing it. There's a million ways of doing it probably, but that's just my way of doing it. We'll come back later and see this in situ. Somebody asked the question, what's the impedance of this passive crossover? I've got it in situ, and I'm using, this is a QED 76 strand. Again, cheap and cheerful really. I don't go in for exotic cables, but you can if you want. And I'll repeat again, this side is the base. So you've got the 3.9 inductor, 100 microfarad capacitor, and there's a 2.7 to ground. And that feeds both of the base units in parallel. And the impedance we're getting is, if we can see that, it's 3.9-ish. 3.8, 3.9. This is a UCD, Hypex UCD 400.
I've got the scars to prove that I feel. You might see me laugh when I'm out with my friends. I'm no longer lost. I wear this brave face. It helps with my day. When it's time to go home and the night rolls in, maybe I'm alone once again. Hard to accept, hard to forget. Darling, I miss the love I'd wish.
And this is the Avondale NCC 300 Voyagers.
Hard to forget, darling, I miss the love I'd wish brave face. It helps with my day when it's time to go home and the night rolls in. Maybe I'm alone once again. Hard to accept, hard to forget. Darling, I miss the love I'd wishing. Wounds of the world take longer to heal. I've got the scars to prove that I feel. No more last words. You made your choice. I gave you a chance.
So both of those pieces were run via the passive crossover, and as you can see here I've got some Prt3 so that I can run them active at any point, which is my next port of call via excuse me, 2 mini disc DSPs, but that'll be for the future. This is the NCC 300 Voyagers bi-amped, so there's 4 amplifiers driving these now.
Though I'm finding it hard to accept, hard to forget, you're still there in my heart. When I turn down the lights, you're still there in my thoughts. When I close my eyes, hard to accept, hard to forget. Darling, I miss the love I'd wishing. Wounds of the heart take longer to heal. I've got the scar.
So I've taken the link out, excuse me, taken the link out, and we've now got one mono amplifier driving the bass here, and we've got one mono amplifier driving the full range. And that's on both, exactly the same, with the links on the floor. So I wasn't going to include this in this video. I was going to produce a second a separate video just for this section, and this, what I'm doing, this whole speaker is now active, so each drive unit has its own power amplifier. So here we have, this goes to the bottom, this one goes to the high frequency or the full range, and this goes to the upper bass unit, all driven by their own amplifiers, and all controlled by a mini DSP, a 2x4 DSP. So I have one mini DSP for this speaker, and I have another mini DSP for the other speaker, and you have to bugger about between the two. I used to have a 410. I didn't like that. I don't know why, it didn't sound right to me. I couldn't get on with it, and I sold it. That was some years ago now. But I kept the 2.4 and persevered, and it seems to be working out okay. So if you're, just a word of advice, a word of note, if you're ever doing this active, you connect everything up first. Everything's connected first, this end and the amplifier end, because what you don't want to do is start live plugging and playing these in and out. So everything has to be connected, everything has to be secure. You have to double check that all your leads go to the correct amplifier being fed by the correct output of your mini DSP and the controlling circuitry. So it's just a word of note, just be careful. The speaker cables, I make them myself. I'll cover that in a separate video, I think, but I think it's 56 strand, heavy duty. I believe it's what some Lin and Name and others used 25 years ago, and they're twisted together. They twist for every foot. There's 4 twists, so they twist, and you just wind them together. And I've put some sleeving, as you can see, around the outside, and shrunk it on just to make it quite nice. I used to have all these labelled left, front, right, as you can see. Blah blah blah. That was many years ago. I think that was on some isobarics I had. So there's just a word of note. And down here is the rat's nest of wires. There's the 2 mini DSPs. Here is another. This is an NCC 300 stereo. In these bigger cases, they're NCC 300 Voyagers monos. So these are dual mono amps. These 2 big ones, one on top of each other. So in the olden days, we used to call it a 6-pack. So there's 6 power amplifiers driving these trios, and there's a bit of a trick to make them work correctly on the crossover. So the bottom one, this is how I've done it, the bottom one comes on and rolls off at 100 Hertz, and I've given it about 3 dB gain. The full range driver, the Tang band, that rolls on at 500 and goes straight to 20k with nothing else in it. And this top drive unit here, that rolls on at nothing and rolls off at 500. So in effect, these are a matched pair, if you like. They cross at 500. This doesn't cross at 500, it rolls off early at 100. But you give that an extra bit of a boost. And for me, after many days of playing, I do like this. If you want to get into depth, you can go to GR Research's websites, and Danny explains it away. You just can't couple, you can't pair, it would appear. I know a lot of people do it, but you just can't pair 2 drive units, parallel them up and expect to get more out of it. You do, but it doesn't sum correctly. You're better off driving this one a bit higher, this one a bit lower, and just giving it a bit of gain, or not, depends on your amplifiers. But that's my research over the past week or so, and you can't do it without really, room equalizing software. Many sweeps, many tweaks on the DSP. I'm trying to make this non-technical. I don't want to go into it too much, but what I'm suggesting is, if you've got the deep pockets, 6 amplifiers are very good. Now, I spoke about using Hypex UCD 400 amplifier, about 250 watts per channel on the passive crossovers for these trios. They're okay. I don't want to expand on that too much. There is something personally I don't adhere to. I've tried them on and off over the years, but this was a brand new project. I've got a video up and coming of a build. I may or may not post it. But compared to these NCC 300s, they're not up to the mark in my opinion, but we're right at the pinnacle here. They are very good on a passive 2-way speaker, a small box speaker. But if you're driving something that's very, very sensitive, if you like, or detailed, it's, for me, it doesn't have it, but that's just my opinion. Just a further note of caution when you're playing around with any equipment really, you make sure everything's plugged in before you attempt to power up and play. And once it's live, you don't remove any of these signal cables, because if you do, you're bound to do some damage either to the amplifier, the speaker, the drive unit. And over the years I've learnt by experience, I suppose I've written off about 2 drive units over the years just by not remembering to power off before you make any changes to any of the wiring. So just a note of caution. And that concludes this one. I will do a separate video with the trios running actively. I've left a little taster on the end of this video with reference to a 6-pack, run at a 6-pack, but I haven't done a sound test. What I'm going to do, I am going to invest in a proper microphone, because I don't think this omnidirectional microphone does it justice by any stretch of the imagination. So I will invest in a proper microphone, and I will go into another. I've mentioned it before. This is the NCC 400, Hypex NCC 400. I have got a video to explain this away. The original video was I was going to put it in a big case, but I've decided not to. I've put it in one of my shoebox size cases, and that'll be on another video. So thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for your thumbs up. Thanks for all the new subscribers, much appreciated. If you find it interesting or it's worth a click the subscribe button, give us a thumbs up. I don't know whether it will or will not help me, I don't think so, but we'll give it a try. Many thanks for watching. Keep safe, keep well. Bye for now.